Welcome back to lesson 1, part 2. So in this part of the lesson, we're going to be looking at spelling. Now, before we get started on our letter pattern, I just want to tell you a little bit about the history. Now, whenever you look at spelling, what you're actually doing is going through a history lesson, the history of English spelling, okay? Now, back in the 1st century, there was a king called Alfred, and he decided that he wanted more people to be educated. And at the time, the language that was written down, mainly in our country, was in fact Latin, which only a few people could actually read and understand. So King Alfred wanted people like us to learn how to read and to become literate, and he decided that we had to start writing down the English language. And up until that point, it just hadn't been written down. So he had some particular issues, okay? And one of the issues that he had was how to distinguish between a word that had a short vowel sound when spoken, like a word like mat. We have a very short sound, mat. And when it was written down, if you actually meant the word mate, how would you know if you just gave that a long sound? How would you know that we're actually now talking about a mate rather than a mat? Because obviously that's quite a big difference, isn't it? So he decided, I think actually it was the monks that decided that were writing it down, that we would put an E on the end, which would have no other function other than just to tell you that this vowel now has a long sound. It now says mate and not mat, okay? So the split digraph E was born, okay? And I think it's been the most troublesome spelling, and for reading as well, actually. It's been the most troublesome little pattern that there has ever been. So let's just have a little look at this. So we're going to start off with this word, rake, okay? And I'm going to do a really terrible picture now. You'll find out I really can't draw. So a rake is that garden implement, okay? Maybe like you rake up the leaves, okay? And if we look at the word, we can say to ourselves, because we're not just going to take a phonic approach here, we're going to take a slightly structured word inquiry type approach. I wouldn't say it's a purist structured word inquiry approach, but it's along those lines. So we're looking at the word, we know it's a rake because we can see this lovely picture, okay? And we've got this spelling in front of us, and we can say, right, have we got a long or a short vowel sound in rake? R-A-K. Well, we know it's a long vowel sound because it's an A sound, okay? If it was a short sound, it would be A. It isn't, it's an A sound. So then we can think, well, which letters are making that vowel sound? And we know it's the A and the E together. You need both of them to make that long A sound, okay? It's like they're holding hands, but in the middle of them, they've got a consonant, but they're still holding hands, they're together. We need both of them to make the one sound, okay? So we're making this A sound. So does the E make a sound on its own? Well, no, it's silent, okay? We take the sound from this vowel, from the first vowel that's there, which is an A. We do exactly the same if we have the word bike, okay? So if we have the word bike, we take the long I sound. We need the E there to give this strength, if you like, to make a long I sound. So without a silent E, this would say bick. With it, it says bike, okay? But you need the two together. The two together make the one sound. So then we can say to ourselves, well, what sounds have we got at the end? So let's go back to looking at rake. What's our sound at the end? Well, our sound at the end is a k. Which letters are making the end sound? It's the kicking ka. What letters are making the start sound? Okay, it's the r. So we end up with r, ache. Now looking at words this way really helps you if you have real trouble in discriminating the sounds in the words, okay? And if you've had trouble learning phonics, the chances are that you do actually struggle with discriminating the sounds in the words. Now, these are quite simple words, okay? And of course, you've got there's lots and lots and lots of words that have this split digraph E. So we have words like cake, there's our split digraph E. You have words like hope, there's our split digraph E. Cube, split digraph E. Okay, and let's have another I one. So let's do like. And there's our split digraph E there. So we've got all long vowel sounds. We've got A in cake, O in hope, U in cube, and I in like. Now these are very simple and quite basic words, which I'm taking you back to in this lesson. In lesson 2, we're going to take these a step further and look at more complex words that still have this silent E, this split digraph E pattern. Now, one of the other things that I want to introduce is the idea that in English we have a root word. So I'm going to leave cake on the board. And we can add to it, we can add suffixes to it. And these suffixes have some meaning. So I'm going to add an S to this word and get cakes. What does that mean? It means we've got more than one cake, okay? Do notice, okay, that we do not have any apostrophes there. That is a very common mistake that students make. So don't you be one of them, okay? If you just mean that you have more than one cake, cakes, there is no apostrophe on it, okay? So it means more than one when we add an S to a noun. A noun is a thing or an object. Now we can also add S to a verb. A verb is an action, a doing word, like a thought, if you're thinking or you feel something. Okay, so if we have the word like, then we can add an S to this to make it likes. And we do this if we were putting the pronoun he or she in front of it. He or she likes. So this no longer has anything to do with plurals because we haven't got a noun. We now have a verb. So this S is just how we make the verb correct when we put he or she in front of it. He or she likes. Okay, so hopefully that might have cleared up some slight confusion there for you. Now, the other thing that I just very briefly want to touch on is adding in, because this can really affect you on your reading as well. Now, there is a spelling rule that when we add a suffix bit on the end, okay, that starts with a vowel, we have to take away the E. And so we end up with the words looking like this. And this can make it difficult for you to read because many children, hopefully you're not one of them, will read this as licking rather than liking because you can no longer see the split digraph E. But it is kind of there. It's like a little ghost hiding in the background, okay? You have to know this spelling rule. And if you know this spelling rule, then when you're reading a word like this, you can think to yourself, right, well, what is the root word, okay? So the root word, don't really recognise that one. What if I put an E on the end of it? What would it then say? Oh, okay, it then says like. So I now realise that because it's had a suffix ing added to it, it means that the E has been taken away, but it still acts as if it's there, so I still need to read it as liking, okay? And when we spell it, we need to make sure we don't keep the E in ourselves, which is another very common issue. Okay, so hopefully that has cleared up. Now, in my task book, there's going to be lots of exercises on looking at these split digraph words, these vowel, consonant, vowel words, okay? Now, just very quickly, at the end here, actually, I'm thinking that I might do this as a small and separate video. So I'm going to leave the recording here.